Hello, everybody. I'm Leela Witherspoon. Today I'll be going through my second favorite 5 from the second 25 that we've done. So I'm going to talk at first about Deanna Petherbridge. Deanna Petherbridge was a big advocate for drawing itself. She wrote a book called The Primacy of Drawing. She was very much about contemporary artists need and the foundational aspect of drawing and how important it was. So she stuck with drawing her whole career. She didn't really branch off from it. There's no sculptures or anything like that beyond some early stuff she had messed around with, but she kind of devoted her life to drawing. So what I like about this piece called Camp COVID was done in 2020 was kind of about the more I looked at it, the more I realized it was half finished, right? So we have this grid of boxes that were being formed and that have been kind of abandoned and half finished. And I that's what I took away from it. Her sense of kind of fantastical buildings, and it's always very skeletal and but organized chaos in a way that really speaks to me and I enjoy. Okay, Bhagashri Suthar is an artist from India who works primarily in drawing, beeswax, and sculpture, which is also based in wax. And so for me, I was like, beeswax? And she would use it kind of as mixing it with pigment and using it almost like a paint medium. Obviously kind of encaustic-esque, but this one doesn't have any beeswax on it, but I found that very interesting about her work. So her work is based on natural geometry and architecture, and it just really kind of appealed to the sense of complexity that I really enjoy. It's simplified forms, but there's a lot of detail, and it's just, a mixture of both organic and mathematical. It really appealed to a sense in me, and that kind of surrealism, that's almost like a surreal landscape that comes out of it, is a big theme within her work that I enjoyed a lot. Okay, to kind of break from the fine art part of things, this is Rohan Eason, and this is a page from his book, Anna and the Juniper Dog, which I tried to find to buy, and I couldn't, but I saw this image, and it's just really, really struck me. So he's an illustrator from England who primarily works in pen and ink, sometimes in color, but not always. And this one it's a very visceral image. It's scary, and as a mom, anytime there's a child in danger, I get really, I emotionally invest pretty heavily. But it's, a strong narrative, but there's a desire for more, right, to move out of the situation, and so it kind of leaves you in this place of tension. And just very striking, strong contrast, blacks and whites, beyond that ground texture. And just, I don't know, I love the framing of it. I love the feeling it evokes in me. I enjoy it. Okay. Mauro Giacconi is an artist out of Argentina. He works in sculpture and installation, and then drawing as well. And it's usually based on a collection of things. His sculptures are shapes that look like trash bags, layered in the ground, but in a way that's rhythmic and organized, for all that it looks almost like trash. And then he also does a fair amount of collage and then working on collage, which is what this is, right? So there's these book images in the background. And then on top of it, he's worked with black pigment and graphite powder. It's a really large scale piece because it's these pages, so you can imagine if that's a single page, how kind of it scales up. It's very large. And I really do think that because it's so complex, it would be one of those that would be great to see in person. I did manage to find this on a website where I could zoom in, and there was things like a bust, and there was a bull, and there was horse legs, and draped fabric, and things that almost felt like a narrative. And I would be really curious to see what these felt like in person. But there's a complexity to it, even as a small image, that I just really appreciate and enjoy. And finally, Yuichi Yokoyama is one of a very prominent Japanese artist making what he calls neo manga, and the main focus on his work is time. which I found really fascinating, and not narrative. So even though like these are like comic style, manga style, it's not meant to necessarily tell a story so much as represent time. And what I loved about this is it was like almost like taking, this is very cool to take the language of like comics and manga and how that feels visually and represent it in a way where you're not telling a story. There is no narrative here, but there are elements where I was like, is that an eye? I don't know. Is that a mouth? I don't know. Very questioning. For me, there's not, I mean, like there's places where my eyes land, but there's not really a strong focal point, which when I realized that that's probably a big part of comics and manga as well, is that there's not meant to be a focal point. It's meant to be a narrative. And so just the way he has taken that medium and elevated it was very impactful. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much.